So I've been mostly doing TikTok and things of that nature, short form videos. So I haven't been making much YouTube content. But alas, here we are again, craving that earthiness of YouTube, that longer than 3 minutes length of videos where I don't have to worry so much about shooting an idea super quickly across, but I can kind of, relax a bit more, I'd say. So here I am on YouTube, and today I want to talk about how I deal with emotions, or I guess how I kind of regulate myself or get myself back into alignment when I feel out of it. The first step is make sure you actually acknowledge your feelings. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling scared, or if you're feeling just off, right? It's like, do your best to try and tap into that feeling and, really go into it. Milk the juice out of that feeling, right? Because you'll realize that it is only just a feeling. That feeling can actually hurt you. And when you actually go into it, it only lasts maybe like 10-15 seconds where you feel a little bit mad. But afterwards, it goes away and you can kind of move on, right? Rather than sweeping it under the rug and, putting on a happy face like it's not there, which only kind of over time just dampens your vibe. And sometimes you may need to make some noise, or or cry, or get angry or something, or just whatever you need to do to kind of actually honor that feeling, right? Let it express out of you in the most authentic way. And then the second thing is dealing with it from a mental programming sort of level, because the only reason that we suffer, I would say usually, if not all the time, is we had a thought or a belief that gave us the suffering. Because ultimately, external circumstances can actually give us the suffering. Like, no one or no thing can actually make us suffer, right? We only suffer because from our perspective, from our belief that this thing is bad, or, we judge it as, what have you. If you're feeling scared or if you're feeling anxious, like, what I do is, it's like, if I had an experience where I didn't feel very good, I would journal it out, right? Where, that made me feel anxious, or that made me feel afraid, or that made me feel whatever, and then you just try and free write whatever it is that kind of comes out of your mind through your hand onto the pen, onto the paper, right? Or you can speak it out, or do what you must to kind of unravel that mental knot inside of you. And usually what you'll find is when you actually investigate deep enough, the reason or the belief that you had that gave you the suffering sounds way more ridiculous than it actually is scary or bad. Like the imagination of it, we suffer more in our imagination than in our reality, as Seneca says. And it's like, when you kind of get to that point where you're like, oh my God, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking this worst case scenario of this thing is going to happen. And then you're like, well, actually, that's a little bit insane. There's a little bit, an exaggeration. From that point onwards, you probably already feel quite relieved or cleared. Sometimes that's already enough. Like, you can kind of really feel good. You've kind of gone through the feelings, you've gone through the thoughts, you've gone through the body, you've gone through the mind, you can move on, right? But if you really want to prep yourself for the next time a similar situation comes up, because again, all of these things that cause us suffering, like, ultimately, these are just lessons for us to learn, right? Like, you only suffer because, there's part of you that you haven't dealt with, or you haven't strengthened, right? So chances are the universe will give you a similar situation in which, the initial situation gave you the suffering. So now that you've identified maybe the beliefs or the thoughts that created the suffering, you can kind of prime yourself, or kind of visualize yourself, or write out or tell yourself, the next time if something similar happens, what would I do, right? And you kind of like pre-train yourself to deal with the situation if it comes up again. Like, you could do a whole visualization for it. And then I find that next time the situation comes up again, which most likely it will, you would be so much better equipped to deal with it, than the first time. And it's not like you're unconsciously repeating the same mistakes over and over again, but it's like, you've gained the clarity of the belief, and you've kind of like clarified how you actually want to behave. That's more in alignment with you for next time, so that you hopefully react to the situation better. Like, you might not react to it perfectly or as you kind of visualize, but at least most likely it will be better than the first time. And that's kind of all anyone can ask for, is for you to just improve. Like, these lessons, they come and go over and over again in this cycle until we kind of understand it. And then every time it's like, as long as you can have more awareness or do it a little bit better or react a little bit more in alignment, it's like, you're doing the great inner work. And eventually this type of situation will come where it's like you've dealt with it so many times that it's no longer an issue. It's like you're a master of dealing with this theme or this lesson, and and once you do, that's your lesson mastered, and it's like, good job, you can move on. So in summary, deal with your feelings, express your feelings, your body, deal with the beliefs, the thoughts, untangle the thoughts, and then, make a battle plan for next time, make a vision for the future of the same situation. And then it's like, and you rinse and repeat, and hopefully that will, get you to closer to your truth, or, at least that's what I've been doing, and it has been helpful. So